Good afternoon. In this video, I'm going to look at Stephen Anderson's recent preaching on uh, a video clip dealing with World War I, World War II. He's getting this book, getting this information from Smedley Butler, a retired Marine general who wrote, I'm sure he's passed away by now, but wrote a book on war as a racket. He won the Medal of Honor twice, won the Boxer Rebellion, and won at World War One. Now, the point of this video is to show you the gimmick that Anderson has. You think when his fire and brimstone preaching is about from the scriptures, he's filled the spirit and he's preaching. He's going to do the same technique dealing with this subject, jumping up and down, yelling, voice rising, pounding on the pulpit, and of course, he's also dropping context. A lot of context goes in dealing with wars, and it's not as simplistic as saying, "Oh, you're just fighting for money." So let's look at what he says here.
But he says in that book over and over again, he says, World War I was supposed to be the war to end all wars. Did you know that was the slogan? Did you know that the president, Woodrow Wilson, when he
No, everyone's stupid. Do you know that? You know that? Do you know what World War I did end? Postmillennialism. There was a big movement before World War I on the postmillennial theology. Think they want to get social gospel, bringing the world get better and better. World War I changed that.
Campaigned, he ran as vote for the guy who will keep us out of the war. 6 months later, we're at war. Liars. Oh,
no, that's right. But let's not forget the fact that they were sinking cruise ships, and they had a plan. They were dealing with the Mexicans, also giving promise to the Mexicans to take back American land, get back American land they lost in the Mexican-American War. So contact people. Unfortunately, with Woodrow Wilson and Franklin Roosevelt, we were unprepared for both wars. That's the real crime. We went in World War I. We didn't have anything. We had no Air Force. We had nothing. We had time and time again. We go into these wars totally unprepared, and we suffer defeats because of it.
Okay. Oh, vote for the one who'll keep us out of the war. And they said, well, this is the war to end all wars. And they said this war is to, quote, here's the propaganda slogan, to make the world safe for democracy. Oh, yeah, you did a real good job of that. What was the aftermath of World War I? Communism, Soviet Union, fascism in Italy, Nazism in Germany. Oh, great job. Great outcome of World War I. Basically, all of these countries just totally became worse and more wicked, more socialism, communism, fascism, Nazism, and then you got to have World War II. And then, but World War II, we fixed everything, right? Yeah, we delivered it all.
You know what World War I did? World War I put the land of Palestine back in British hands. The British got Palestine back from the Ottoman Empire. No one thought that could happen. And World War II put the Jew back in the land. After the Holocaust, the Jews saw no one's going to protect them. No nation. No nation cared about what happened to the Jew in the Holocaust. So that's how God got the Jew back into the land. When he said, how can anybody go back? How can the Jews go back in the land? God did that. It took them 2 wars. God had some problem for God.
To Joseph Stalin on a silver platter and said, here you go, Joseph Stalin, with your wicked Soviet Union and communism. Why don't you just take over half of Europe? Here you go.
Now notice the act. It's an act, people. See that? He could be preaching on eternal security, the gospel. He was talking about Stalin and Hitler. And look at the same gimmick, the same excitement that he's using here. It doesn't matter. Same thing with Gene Kim running around in Andrew Sluter's church. And they had to run the bases. They learned that. They learned that. They learned that at PBI. They go there and they're street preaching and this stuff. And they're taught that. They're taught that. He's taught this. Hyles Anderson. He's taught this. This isn't real. He's talking about a historical subject and he's screaming just like he would do on any biblical subject. You say, oh man, this is passionate. He's just teaching you something. It's a gimmick he's learned, a technique he's learned to con you.
Buddy, take all of Eastern Europe for those people to be tortured and their lives ruined and to live in a hell on this earth. Right? Here you go, buddy. Here you go, Joseph Stalin. Then, over in the Pacific, You've got Chiang Kai-shek, which is the nationalist Chinese general. He's got Mao Zedong on the run.
Maybe that was the first history book he's ever written. Ever read. So he's very excited about it. He finally read some history.
He got Mao Zedong beaten back to where Mao Zedong, the communist Chinese dictator, he had no territory in China. They pushed him back across the border, and Chiang Kai-shek was about to go in and just wipe him out. Just wipe him out. He only had like 3,000 troops left, and Chiang Kai-shek was ready to just wipe him out. And the U.S. government told him, you cannot wipe out Mao Zedong. You must stand down. You must back off, or we will not support you anymore. We will not, we threatened them. And then, so then the U.S. makes him back up. And then what does Mao Zedong do? He rallies. He has time to rebuild his forces, and he eventually takes over all of mainland China and turns China into a communist hellhole where 50 million people died. There's your outcome of your wonderful, righteous World War II. You say, well, I'm a World War II veteran. Well, you know what? I'm sorry that the...
See his technique, people? He's not preaching on any biblical subject. So you hear him preaching on some biblical subject, he does the same technique. Oh, he's fire and brimstone. It's a gimmick.
Outcome of the World War II was to plunge the world into communism and wickedness and garbage. And you know what? Sorry you got lied to. Sorry you were tricked. Sorry you were deceived. Sorry you were beguiled. But you know what? My grandfather fought in World War II. I had one on the Pacific Theater, one in the storming the beaches at Normandy on D-Day. And you know what? My grandfather that fought over in the Pacific and both of them earned Purple Hearts. They both were decorated.
I think his grandfather would be too young to have fought in World War II. I don't know about that. I'm older than Stephen Anderson by about 20 years. And my grandfather's I think was too young to fight in World War II.
Well, guess what? He said, well, if I would have known what this country was going to turn into, I would have spent the best years of my life fighting for it. That's what he told me. Say, I don't know, this isn't patriotic. Okay, well then.
I mean, my father fought in Korea, so his grandfather. So maybe I'm not sure on how the age would go. My father was in Korea, went to Korea, so, and he was 80. He just died. So I don't know about the age here. I don't know. I don't think his grandfather could fought in World War II.
Fox News Baptist is down the street.
I mean, this guy's not even 40 yet.
And you say, well, why do you get on the Republicans? Why do you get on Fox News? Why don't you get on the Democrats? Because anybody with a brain in their head knows that the Democrats are demonic and evil, baby murdering, homosexual promoting freaks. Everybody knows how degenerate and morally bankrupt the Democrat Party is. Otherwise, why are you even in a Baptist church? Do you really need me to tell you that these people aren't just of Satan? I'm here to tell you, though, that the Republicans and Fox News and the right-wing agenda is another wicked agenda. It's just two wings on the same bird, friend. It's a false left-right paradigm. And you know what? This pro-war, kill them all, let God sort them out, right-wing Republican Fox News agenda is wicked as hell.
See, pound their pulpit. See, it's an act, people. He did the same thing no matter what subject he's preaching. He's a salesman. He's conning you.
And you know, yeah, the Democrats are murdering babies in their mother's womb, and the Republicans want to murder people on the battlefield. They want to kill man, woman, boy, girl, civilians. The 20th century was the century of total warfare, where we literally nuked man, woman, boy, and girl, where we literally kill civilians. That is wicked and ungodly. You'll never convince me that that's a Christian thing to do. Well, we had to. Shut up. We didn't have to do anything.
So you drop in context. The Japanese refused to give up. And we had learned that they had quite a few of our POWs. And they were planning to kill them. If we invaded Japan, they were going to kill all the POWs. And it would have cost us a figure like 1 million casualties and probably about 10 million Japanese casualties if we had actually invaded Japan. That's the context. He doesn't give you context. He gives you a lot of bluster. That's what he does with the Bible. That's what he does with history. If you're going to give history, give context.
You know what? We're over there fighting for somebody's agenda to make them money.
See how simplistic that is? I mean, who? Who's making money? You know.
Let Stalin and Hitler fight each other. It's not our business to go and get involved in that. And guess what? Stalin was even more wicked than Hitler. There, I said it. But guess what? Both of them are wicked. Let them fight each other and destroy each other. Well, we had to because we got attacked. Oh, really? The United States got attacked? Oh, you're talking about our military base thousands of miles from our country? In Hawaii?
And thousands of miles away from Japan. He's going to act like the base was right next to Japan or something.
Which wasn't even a state?
So what does that have to do with that not being a state? Nothing to do with it. I mean, the fact is that they attacked us first, and while they were negotiating. See, context dropping, people. They were negotiating while they knew that the negotiators knew an attack was planned on Pearl Harbor, and while they were in the process of keeping us talking, they attacked our ships in Pearl Harbor. And the purpose of it was in order so they could have a free hand to invade the Dutch Indies because of the oil embargo.
Some military base out in the Pacific, and then we sit there and poke at Japan for years, and we embargo.
We poke at Japan. See, drop in context. Japan invaded China. Now, you want to talk about atrocities. Read about the rape of Nanking. Even the Nazis were shocked at what the Japanese were doing to the Chinese. Even the Nazis couldn't believe it. Because he's a context dropper. He's a phony.
Japan, which is an act of war. We embargo Japan for years. We support their enemies for years.
We support their enemies. They're invading everybody. You mean China? Who are the enemies, Anderson? You mean China who got invaded? And was being wiped out? You know, after the raid that we made on the Doolittle raid, they killed 200,000 Chinese over that. The Japanese went in retaliation and killed like 200,000 Chinese to make sure that raid would never happen again. We bombed in Doolittle raid. We bombed them from the carriers, but we landed those planes in Chinese territory. And in retaliation, they killed 200,000 Chinese. That's context, people. Liars like him always drop context.
We're supporting all the enemies for years, poking at them, embargoing.
Yeah, we picked on Japan. That's why we weren't prepared for a war. We're the one that pushed a naval treaty in order to disarm, which left us weaker. Because the Japanese in no one's fear, they had more ships now, they were stronger, us proportionally, because we had two oceans to protect, not one. And so we pushed I think it was a Kellogg Naval Disarmament Treaty that left us weaker. Our problem was we're never ready to fight a war. Because idiots like Anderson, who want us to get ready.
We put our base and all our ships in their backyard.
Backyard. Thousands of miles away from Japan. You think Hawaii's in their backyard? And this is the same type of teaching he gives with the Bible, people. Nothing changed. The emotion, the simplistic appeals, and the and the rising the pitch of the voice and the jumping up and down, and ignoring context.
Like, oh, we got attacked. Okay, yeah, but guess what? We started it. We should mind our own business. We should be like Switzerland and be neutral. Trade with all, alliance with none. That is what the founding fathers of our country actually said.
Yeah, well, that's a nice idea, no doubt. But Switzerland wouldn't have stayed neutral if Germany had taken over Europe. They would have been overrun by the Germans. The only reason Switzerland was allowed to exist was because Hitler was busy with other countries and they weren't worth the effort. But that's why Trump was elected. Trump is neither party. And he wants non-interventionism. Obviously, neocons, they have a Wilsonian idea of changing the whole world, nation building. That's why we're still in Afghanistan and these other countries, nation building. But he'll tell you not to vote for Trump either.
They said trade with all, alliance with none. That's what George Washington said when he said, hey, we need to stay away from entangling alliances.
So let's stop, put this up and show you what a gimmick he is. up with rising the voice and the pounding of pulpit like he's preaching some biblical subject, and of course he's dropping context over the place. You know, we were picking on Japan. They attacked China, and the problem was the reason we get attacked and these things happen in World War One because we weren't strong enough. We weren't prepared militarily, and so these nations knew they could get away with it. We were scoffed at. And the bet was that we wouldn't be able to rebuild quick enough in order to get into the war. That's what Japan's hope was. They knew they couldn't defeat the United States in the long term. They said, well, in 6 months, Yamamoto, their admiral, so I can run mushroom or for 6 months, but then that's it. And they were hoping the American people would give up with the propaganda machine, of course. Like they did in the Vietnam War with Cronkite and these guys. We can't win. We have to stop. I was hoping on the Americans get weary of the war, and Japan will be able to negotiate. That was the long plan. But this is context. He's not going to give you context. He's not going to give you context for World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Persian Gulf. He's not going to give you context with anything. He's not going to give you context with the Bible. He is a simplistic thinker. And notice the routine. Same routine he's using that teaches the scriptures. He's using the same for he's teaching history there. Pounding and jumping up and down and yelling at you. And I said it was Sluter and Kim and these guys learning that nonsense at PBI. They're hooting, hollering, and they're waving the Bible. Oh, you're on fire, preacher. Like that's real spirituality. And they're running bases. Oh, get out of here. It's one step away from Pentecostalism. One step. Oh, I'm hot. I'm hot. And they're running around and everything with Kim. He's actually jumping up and down. He actually clicks his heels and so phony. It's not real spirituality. And he actually say if you don't do that, Sluter say, oh, you're dead churches. The guy is actually talking it there. He says we've done this all in good order. If you watch that whole thing, the guy who sings the song, then when all this running around, he says, well, we've done this all in good order. It doesn't look good order to me. Good order to me. And I'm sure the women aren't running around like that. So I guess they're not spiritual. So let's stop and put this up. Amen.